Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am the Sam. The Bean is actually using my old phone to record himself singing, for example.
Baby shark do it. Ow!
So if you hear any noise in the background, that's what he's up to. Anyway, today we're talking about the Craftsman. The Craftsman is a beloved American staple, and it can be broken down into basically 4 different categories, based on where in the nation it was built, with what materials it was built, and when it was built. They are the 4-square or 4-corner Craftsman, the bungalow, the mission or mission revival, and prairie. Now, the first 3 are basically siblings, the last one is kind of a cousin. The main difference comes down to the prairie being a longer, lower design overall, with a lower pitched, more closed-faced roof, and the other 3, while still having low-pitched roofs, tend to be a slightly higher pitch, have a few more open faces showing, and the structures themselves are slightly more similar. Basically, a Craftsman is a beautified rectangle, which makes it an excellent style for beginners to start out with, and today I'm going to show you how to roof any Craftsman in any size, shape, whatever. I am just realizing that in order for this roof to line up quite how I want it, I have to bump this forward, and that is because I actually want the main part of the roof to extend over the deck a bit, as well as a flatter portion. First of all though, the staples of the Craftsman roof style is generally a fairly low pitch. It's not very ornamented just as a style in general, so you're mostly going to be dealing with a lot of right angles, which makes it very easy. There are typically large overhanging eaves, so you'll be extending the eaves a tad, and it's primarily gable or half gable roof pieces. I'm going to start out front here by placing a half gable here and bringing this eave in. Typically, this default roof pitch is as absolute high of a pitch as you're going to want on a Craftsman. I'm actually going to go a little bit lower and drag it out 1 tile like this, so my base is 4 wide, and then holding Alt, drag down until the top of my roof wall just lines up with the top of the house wall. That should be good to start, but we'll get more exact when we add the top roof portion. I can now see that I also used the wrong windows, but no worries, if I just pull it out, it works just fine. I could also replace the windows, but who wants to do that? I'm going to take a second half gable, pull it out, and then drop it down to line up with about the bottom of these windows here. Hold Shift to pull this eave back, and if I hold Alt and drag up ever so slightly, I should have a nice blended roof section there. I'm going to copy this roof piece and place it over here. Evidently move these windows up a touch. And then finally place a gable on top. From here I can work to make sure that the lower portion of the roof lines up perfectly, which you can do by either watching the roof trim line up itself or by checking to see that whatever roof piece you're moving has a solid white panel. Here you can see the roof would clip through because some of the top roof is showing, but if I drag it up a little bit until it is just completely white, like that, it should line up. I am going to push back this eave on this roof as well. It will show a little bit, but because this is The Sims 4, there are just some things we can't quite change. If you want more tips and tricks on dealing with eaves clipping into one another like this, I recommend checking out this video here. And if you have a more complicated deck that you want to roof, I also have a video on that. Now for dormers on Craftsman, you're typically going to see one of 2 things happen, and they're both very simple. Either you are going to see it roofed with a gable, like this, or it will be a half gable facing this direction and pitched pretty low so that it lines up with the rest of the house. Now that we have all of our basic roof pieces down, we can paint them, which could be as simple as just matching the siding, but it is also quite common for the top of any front-facing gables to be some sort of shingle or brick. And if you want to do this, here's another little tip. If you grab the square roof trim to place around your roof, you can also place it here, or even one of the thicker ones, to give that nice border. I just remembered I actually wanted to make my trim brown to match the columns on my porch, but the concept stays the same. Again, because Craftsman has such a diverse spread across the nation, you can use pretty much any shingle you want, and it's going to look totally fine. The last thing we want to do is drag out our eaves an additional 1 section. For any eaves that you only want one side to move, you hold Shift, and for any where you want both sides to move, you don't. Typically, if I have smaller dormers like this, I won't extend the eaves any extra on them, just because it can look kind of strange. But just like everything, totally up to you. If you have get together, cats and dogs, or seasons, they all come with really great options for these corbels. I'm not really sure how they're pronounced, but they're those fancy roof bits that you see sort of sticking out, especially in Craftsman's. And you can place them holding Alt. If they're not placing properly, you can, of course, also turn on Move Objects. But those little details can really help sell that Craftsman style, as it's known for having more exposed beams on the outside. Not quite as many as a Tudor, that's a little bit different, but it will have some of these supporting beams exposed or have decorative elements added for newer constructions. 3 out of 4 craftsmen approve of this roofing style, and if you want to see how to do a prairie, other than changing up the style, the main difference is going to be that you're not going to have quite as many open gables facing, especially not toward the front of the build, and you'd want to replace those with something like a hipped or half-hipped roof. I really enjoy making these videos, breaking down what makes a roof style that specific style, and I would love to bring it to you in more detail in October and do whole build styles. So actually go into detail as to how exactly to create a craftsman, what makes it a craftsman, how you can make any separate size craftsman by following these tips and all that stuff. For now though, I am going to
Mommy looks. Sure.
be a shark apparently, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Bye!
Has to